Hello, good day. Welcome to Team Amy Sherald's presentation on distributed systems. So our project was a WeShare project, WeShare, which is an application that enables a user to keep track of their daily spending. So this would be for anyone, teenager, someone in the workplace, anyone that just wants to keep track of their daily spending so that they know what their income is and how are they spending it so that they know that they don't go over balance. Okay, so our research and planning was as follows. I'll be going through each of those steps for you. So, for our research, so this was basically an application that we needed to create, which hosts a server as well as a client. So for the web server, we decided to use the Java Javelin model, which allows us to create a web server, and then we use JavaScript to allow us to render different web pages for the specific application. We also had to implement form handling for endpoints that's necessary for the user as well as for the server. Okay, so the tools and frameworks that we use. So we use IntelliJ to create all of our code. So for Java Javelin module, we use that was to create our web server. Then we use HTML and CSS to display our web pages as per the example shown. And then we use JavaScript to render these different pages. So we use SPA, which is single page applications, so that we didn't have a bulk number of different scripts. And then for our storage, we use the local storage for this, but we would have loved to use like a local database management system. So this would like keep track of, say, for the month or like an ongoing storage. And then also for our presentations, we use Office Online, the Office Online package, specifically PowerPoint for our presentation. And then, so we followed a BDD approach, which is behavior driven design, for our stories because we knew that there were multiple stories that we wanted to factor into our production. So, for instance, we know that the user wants to log in, log out. We want to display an expenses page. We want to display the payment request that was sent by the user, as well as the request that was received for the user to complete. And then you would also have like a pay button, which allows you to just click and you would pay whatever request was sent to you. So that would be in the receive side. And then for the payment request send, it would populate a form that allows you to send to a different user so that the user can then action on their side. So these were the kind of stories that we followed. Then for the time, so we completed it in 2 iterations, which would be approximately 4 weeks. But as per the example, you would see that we only use 3 of those weeks for the actual coding. So for the other week, we use it as more of our planning and more of going through the code, checking which features we can actually implement or checking which ones we can upgrade or make changes to that we weren't properly satisfied with. Then these are the sources. Most of these were given as a resource in the curriculum, but like W3 schools to check how to access or how to use certain concepts within Java, within JavaScript, within HTML, CSS. Then we also use the jQuery library, vanilla router, and then also how to use handlebars in JS. So these were the type of examples or research and data that we used. And yes, most of it was done on Google.
Good morning. My name is Namhla Banza, and I am with a group called Sherald. I will be tackling section B of the work we were given. First question on question B was identify the different parts of a cost-benefit analysis. What a cost-benefit analysis is the process used to measure the benefits of of a decision or taking action minus the cost associated with taking that action. So there's an indirect cost, an opportunity cost, cost of potential risk, and the benefits are there's direct, indirect, and total benefit and net benefits. The second question was provide a time estimate on an element of work based on a breakdown of its components. So what I first did was I reviewed the project scope. I created a list of tasks within that scope that I got. I collected the data for each task. Then I included my hours if I was having a break or if I was still working on my project. I considered revision hours. I sat down and reviewed my code and made sure everything that I had on my scope and on my task list is exactly what I have on my work that I have done. I added all the components together and then I reviewed and revised the work together. The second question is explain the purpose of the different parts of cost or benefit analysis. Okay, the purpose for cost benefit analysis in a project is to have a systematic approach to figuring out the pluses and minuses of various parts through a project, including transactions and tasks. The cost benefit analysis gives you options and it offers the best approach to achieve your goal. To determine if the project business case is sound, justifiable, and visible by figuring out if its benefits outweighs the cost. To offer baseline for comparing projects by determining which project's benefits are greater than its costs. Third question was provide a cost estimate on an element of work based on a breakdown of its components on a breakdown. So essentially, using a work breakdown structure enables you to take a top-down look at your project and break it into the tasks and subtasks that will get you to completion. It's a helpful tool that defines defines a detailed cost or time estimate and provides guidance for schedule development and control. As you can see here at the bottom, I showed you how I broke down my work. Next one was provide a cost estimate and estimate of work based on understanding that the estimate should include the implementation or testing of interfaces to other components which are applicable. So for the cost of constructed facilities to the owner, including both an internal costs and subsequent options and maintenance costs. Each of these major costs categories consist of a number of cost components. Provide a estimate on an element of work that demonstrates an understanding that being associated by other resources or people could escalate the cost. So here's a graph on an estimation method that shows the escalation of the cost. Next question was explain that an element of work is often a subset of a bigger deliverable. So a project management team that traditionally uses the quantifiable goods or services that must be provided upon a completion of a project. A deliverable is an element of output within the scope of a project. It is a result of objective focused work completed within the project process. Deliverables and project management can be internal or external. The effect that a late delivery of an element of work. So it decreases your customer return rate. Late deliveries drastically decrease your customer lifetime value and return on whatever you spent to acquire the lost customer in the first place. That is all from me.